I've been doing some videos on epistemology lately in various articles from the logical positivist period until contemporary period of like Gettier and following. And I guess I want to sort of make some clarifications as to mostly what the whole debates are of. And I mean, I've talked about things like basically infinitism, foundationalism, coherentism, externalism, and internalism, which it used to be just internalism, externalism, and foundationalism and coherentism. But infinitism has relatively recently become a viable option because before infinitists like Peter Klein, infinitism was like, oh, that's stupid. How could how can you really think that? Because you really can't have infinite reasons in your mind at any given point. So people like Peter Klein, I did make a video on his article Human Knowledge and the Infinite Regressive Reasons. So given that third option, well, foundationalism and coherentism and infinitism are basically answers to the epistemic regress problem, and that problem is: do we need reasons for why we believe things, or can justification be had a different way? A foundationalist, well, the regress problem is that if we have any belief, we have to have a meta belief or a reason for it, and the meta belief needs a further meta belief for a further reason, and that goes back and back into infinity. And a foundationalist stops the regress by arguing that a basic belief or a foundational belief that doesn't need reasons can exist, therefore stopping it at one or multiple foundational beliefs, and thus we can have some one or more foundational beliefs that we build our non-basic beliefs on top of. That's been the basic one that has you know been a part of philosophy ever since Plato. Coherentism, on the other hand, stops the regress by saying that justification comes from the coherent system of beliefs, that where no belief is prior to another, and we have no hierarchy of beliefs, and they all stand in relation to one another, and by standing in a certain relation with one another or dovetailing, that's how we have justification of any belief in that system. A infinitist doesn't solve the regress, but they say, well, we can have that, and then they make the clarification that to be a infinitist, or to keep the regress going, you don't have to have cognitive understanding of the infinity of beliefs, or the infinity of reasons that you have for your beliefs, and that justification can go back and back into infinity, without you having to have cognizing, or you don't have to have consciousness of all of those beliefs. You have to have cognitive access to a certain part of them, a certain set of relevant ones, but not all of them. And the internalism externalism thing is a bit of an answer to the Gettier problem, which asks what knowledge is and how knowledge works. Internalism says that we need reasons. We need reasons for every belief that we have, which means that if I have a belief, I have to have a reason for it. Thus we have to have cognitive access of any justification or reason of any belief. While the externalist is that, well, we don't have this cognitive access, or we can't have this cognitive access, and justification conferred by either a reliable process or process having some kind of certain virtues or causal connections or some kind of external thing as to how you got the belief. And this book, which is a really great book, I think it's epistemic justification, which basically has two big monster essays in it. The first one by Lawrence Bonjour, the other by Ernest Sosa. Sosa does talk about virtue, epistemology, which I have yet to discuss here on this channel. But Bonjour has in his essay a refutation of coherentism and a refutation of externalism. So you have the foundationalism, coherentism, infinitism thing, and then the internalism, externalism. So before the infinitism thing, you can be a foundationalist externalist, or you can be a foundationalist internalist. Bonjour is a foundationalist, or he is a internalist foundationalist, or you can be a coherentist externalist or a coherentist internalist. So you basically have a combination of those four. However, with infinitism, I would think that infinitism would most likely mean internalism. I don't see how internalism and externalism could be together. The other option is to be a skeptic entirely about this. Is to be a skeptic entirely and say that it is impossible to have knowledge or justification of the things that give themselves to us, or of the things that we perceive, and that we can't have that at all. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the contemporary debates, or the contemporary issues of epistemology are based around that. They're based around: are you a foundationalist externalist, a foundationalist internalist, a coherentist externalist, or a coherentist internalist, or are you an infinitist and thus a internalist as well? So it's basically people, the philosophers of contemporary epistemology are combinations of those things, and that's how they present their arguments for the way knowledge and justification works. So this book, I think, is very, very good. I think that the Bonjour is probably my favorite here, because Bonjour has arguments for foundationalism, and talks about the issues with foundationalism, and has a refutation of externalism and a refutation of coherentism. He used to be a coherentist, actually. Back in the 80s, he wrote a book called The Structure of Empirical Knowledge, and had this huge argument for coherentism. And now, through this stuff, he is a foundationalist. So Sosa argues virtue, epistemology, and talks about that as well, and does talk about knowledge having foundations and such. This is a really great book. I think definitely, if you're into epistemology, this is one to have. So if you have any questions or anything you want to discuss about epistemology, I'm definitely open to that. I coming up in on this channel that I plan on discussing of articles. I filmed one that is on Alvin Goldman's what is justified belief, which is all done, and it's on YouTube, but it's unlisted because I haven't put all the tags and all the description and stuff on it. And I plan on also doing a video about Connie and Feldman's defense of internalism, and definitely a video each about one about Bollinger's refuting of externalism in here, and then one about his refuting coherentism in here. And then other than that, I don't know. We'll have to I'll have to think about that one. So, thank you.